Welcome back to Wall Again, where passion meets music. And in this episode, we're going to be doing something different. I'm going to be ranking the 8 Oasis studio albums, but I'm going to be ranking them in a tiered ranking on this board behind me. So as you can see, I have 4 tiers. The top tier is reserved for non-skip albums, essentially all perfect albums. The second tier is for great albums. The third tier is for good albums, and the bottom tier is for bottom of the barrel albums. So without further ado, let's kick off here with 1994's Definitely Maybe, the debut album by Oasis. Of course, they weren't happy with the production on the first one, so they had to re-record it. But I think this album is absolutely spectacular. One of the best albums of the 1990s. We've got Rock and Roll Star to kick things off, which is an absolutely classic song. Absolutely love it. The guitar work by Noel Gallagher in this one is brilliant. And then we go into Shaker Maker, which is a brilliant song. Sounds very much like the Beatles, but I know Oasis, that's what they were going for in the 1990s. Then we have Live Forever, which is one of the best Oasis songs of all time. A ballad, but it's got a great guitar solo and great vocals and harmonies there as well. Up in the Sky, another great one. And Columbia, which is one of my favourite Oasis songs. It's got a fantastic instrumental piece on it. Great guitars, which are layered. It's real atmospheric. I just think it's a great tune. And then, of course, Supersonic. I just played a little bit of that at the start. But yeah, again, Supersonic, one of my favourite Oasis songs. Absolutely brilliant. Got great riffs in this from Noel. It's also got great lead guitar, great rhythm guitar. The choice of chords there, it's absolutely class. Bring It On Down. Cigarettes and Alcohol, of course, one of the most famous Oasis songs of all time. Digsy's Dinner, which isn't great. It's probably the low point on the album, to be honest. A little bit of comic relief, but yeah, it wouldn't be one of my favourite songs. Number 10 is Slide Away, and number 11, Married with Children, which is a great acoustic song to finish off the album. So I'm putting this one on the top tier. I think it's one of the best albums of the 90s, and certainly deserves to be on the top tier in this Oasis ranking. Hopefully that doesn't fall off. Okay, next we have What's the Story, Morning Glory from 1995. Of course, this album was absolutely huge when it came out. Full of hits from start to finish. Again, no skips on this one for me. Starts off with Hello, which has the start of Wonderwall just as an intro, as a teaser. And then it goes into Hello. I always thought that was great. Remember listening to that the first time I heard the album back in 1995 when it was released. And I had it on cassette. And yeah, absolutely blew me away. Then we go into Roll With It, which is an absolute rocker. Again, like Noel is on fire on this album. Songwriting, guitar playing, arrangement, everything. It's absolutely fantastic. And Roll With It is an absolute belter. Then we go into the big hit Wonderwall, which was, you know, one of the most popular songs of the 1990s. Yeah, it is overplayed. And yeah, I do get bored of it, listen to it sometimes. And you know, I've played it live in bands and solo acoustic stuff, but it doesn't lose its appeal. You know, you play that song in a pub, everybody knows the lyrics. So, you know, Wonderwall is still a classic, even if it's overplayed. And followed by Don't Look Back in Anger, which is my favourite Oasis song. It's got an absolutely killer guitar solo in it. And then, of course, all those chords throughout the song. It's not a simple 4-chord song or 3-chord song. Noel really digs deep here, and there's a lot of things shifting around. Of course, they've got the great piano intro, which is a nod to John Lennon's Imagine, but I think it's a brilliant song, one of the best rock songs of the 1990s, in my opinion. Number 5 on the album is Hey Now, which is a good song, but again, probably not one of the strongest songs on the album. Still quite good. Then we have an untitled track, which is kind of a nod to the Swamp Song. Then we have Oasis' first number 1 song, Some Might Say. Absolutely brilliant. Then we go on to Cast No Shadow, which apparently was written about Richard Ashcroft. Again, another absolutely classic song. She's Electric, a great boppy kind of song. And then we go into Morning Glory with the layered guitars. Again, Noel's got so many guitars on this one. I should point out, obviously, Noel sings Don't Look Back in Anger and Liam sings Wonderwall. Liam's the lead vocalist on this, and he sings most of the songs. But, you know, Noel is there in backing vocals and takes lead on Don't Look Back in Anger. So Morning Glory is an amazing song. And then it finishes off with Champagne Supernova, which I've grown to love more over time, I have to say. When it came out first, I thought there were better songs on the album. but it has actually grown on me, and I think it's actually one of Oasis' best songs. Of course, Paul Weller makes an appearance on this one. So I should probably say the lineup for these first two albums was obviously Noel Gallagher on lead guitar, rhythm guitar and backing vocals, some lead vocals, Liam Gallagher on lead vocals, Paul Arthurs, otherwise known as Bonehead, on rhythm guitar, Paul McGuigan on bass, otherwise known as Gwigsy, and of course on drums, Tony McCarroll on Definitely Maybe. Tony McCarroll plays drums on Some Might Say, and then on the rest of this album it's Alan White. So classic album, classic cover, absolutely essential 90s. I'm going to stick this up here in the top tier, but what I'm actually going to do, if I can do this without knocking these off, I'm going to put What's the Story, Morning Glory ahead of Definitely Maybe, because for me, I think it was just a more impactful album. It had more hits and it really reached the mainstream. I get that Definitely Maybe is probably more of a rock and roll album, but for me, I think What's the Story is better, in my opinion. Okay, so following hot on the heels then of What's the Story, Morning Glory, 1997, the band bring out Be Here Now, this one here. I remember the day this came out. I remember my mum bought it in the shop, brought it home on cassette again. This is the CD, which I've picked up in the meantime. But obviously, I listened to it cover to cover when it came out. And I was well impressed with it, to be perfectly honest with you. We knew that the hit that was out at the time, Do You Know What I Mean? But there was other songs in this album, like Stand By Me and All Around the World, which I thought were absolutely fantastic. But to be honest with you, there's a lot of stuff in this album that isn't great. And even when I got the album, I listened to it back to back so many times in a row for weeks and weeks on end. And like songs like My Big Mouth, Magic Pie, I Hope I Think I Know, Girl in the Dirty Shirt, these songs never did anything for me. So I think it's got some great stuff on here, but I also think it's got a lot of filler on this album, and I don't think it hit anywhere near the heights of the previous two albums. I still think it's a great album. There's great production on it, and it's got the original classic lineup of Oasis, and the last time the original classic lineup would appear on an album, but I am putting it as a great album. It's definitely not a top tier album when you think about Oasis other albums. So there you go, it's sitting in there, if it will work. Hopefully that stays. Okay, the next one we have is The Master Plan. So this one was actually a B-sides album, and a lot of the B-sides had come from songs on the first two albums, and it's actually, it blows me away because this album was so strong. They could have released another album or two with the material from this on it and like complement what's on Be Here Now and have it as a proper album, but they seem to have wasted all their good songs, or Noel even talks about this a number of different times. They put so much good material onto the B-sides of the singles from Definitely Maybe and What's the Story, Morning Glory, that they couldn't put it on an album then because it had already been released. So they decided to put it out as a B-sides album, which is great that we get it, but you'd always think to yourself, if Oasis had have actually released another 2 or 3 albums after What's the Story, Morning Glory, containing this material sprinkled like 5 or 6 songs on it, I think it would have been class. Like there's 14 songs on this album. I'll just run through the list, so a lot of them big Oasis fans will be very familiar with. But it starts off with Acquiesce, which is one of Oasis' best songs, and of course Noel and Liam sharing vocal duties on that one. Then we've Underneath the Sky, Talk Tonight, again a Noel Gallagher classic. They play this live on the new reunion tour. Going Nowhere, Fade Away, the Swamp Song, I Am the Walrus live version, Listen Up, another great song, Rockin' Chairs, another great one, Half the World Away, another Noel classic, and he's playing this one live again with the reformed Oasis. It's Good to Be Free, excuse me, which is another fantastic deep cut. Stay Young, Head Shrinker, and ends with The Master Plan, another Noel classic. So I don't get it. I think this is top notch, to be honest. To be honest, I do think it's a top tier album, but I don't think it's as good as Definitely Maybe or What's the Story, Morning Glory. So for me, The Master Plan is going up here ahead of Definitely Maybe, and Everything Falls Down. You couldn't make it up, could you? So you'll have to bear with me now while I put these albums back in their right position. Just bear with me. This is the thing with live TV. Now I could go and edit this out, but Do you know what? I'm going to leave it in because I think I might get a better reaction from leaving this in. So we get definitely maybe back up here. This is my first time using this board, so I'm learning. And we put What's the Story back up. And then B here. Now. Okay, see how long this lasts. Okay, perfect. Next we have Standing on the Shoulder of Joints. Not shoulders, shoulder. Apparently this title was written by Noel when he was drunk on a back of a fag packet and he spelled it wrong, so he just decided to go with it. I think this is a poor album. Yeah, I never got into this, to be honest. I saw Oasis when they toured this. That was the first time I saw them at Lansdowne Road in Dublin in the year 2000, July 7th or 8th. I'm not exactly sure the date, but it was somewhere around that. Of course, they had played Wembley, and that gig is very famous. They played 2 nights at Wembley where Liam was off his head, and that was recorded on Familiar to Millions. But this album here was the tour that whole all those gigs were on. It starts off with Fucking in the Bushes, which is essentially one of those songs that starts every Oasis gig ever since. They always put that on the PA system before Oasis come out on stage. So, you know, that's something. It's an okay song, no harm to it. Then they have Go Let It Out, which I actually think is an underrated song. Second song on the album and the lead track from the album. And that was huge when it came out. And then my favourite song on the album, which a lot of people might find funny, it's Who Feels Love. And yeah, it's very kind of trippy, kind of Eastern. You can kind of get what they're doing, like maybe what the Beatles were doing on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band has a little bit of an influence on here for Noel. I think the lead guitar on this is absolutely fantastic. There's a great solo after the breakdown, which never got played live from what I've seen, and I think it's an absolute shame because it's a brilliant guitar solo. But then the album goes downhill big time. Put Your Money Where Your Mouth is terrible. Little James is the first songwriting contribution by Liam, by anyone apart from Noel Gallagher, on an Oasis album. And it's pure muck. It's one of the worst songs ever on an Oasis album. Gas Panic, a lot of people rave about. I don't get the hype. I don't think it's a great song. Where Did It All Go Wrong is a very, very, very poor man's Don't Look Back in Anger. Sunday Morning Call, do not like. I Can See a Liar and Roll It Over. I think it's a very poor album, to be honest. The only saving grace on this one for me is probably Who Feels Love, and Go Let It Out is okay. But I don't think that's enough to save it from the bottom tier. So for me, Standing on the Shoulder of Giants is down here on the bottom tier of Oasis albums. Okay, the next one here we have is Heathen Chemistry. Now, sorry, just on the lineup, I should say that Guigsy and Bonehead had left the band for this album. So Noel records all the guitars himself. I think he records some of the bass himself, or a lot of the bass himself, and Alan White stayed with the band on drums. But yeah, it was a bit of a mess here. It was all about getting this album out, and then after this album was released, they brought in Gem Archer and Andy Bell on guitar and bass respectively, and those guys stayed with the band until they finished up in 2009, and then those two guys obviously came back into the band this year when they went on the Oasis Live 25 tour, the reunion tour. But yeah, I think that was an important point to mention just on that album. So this one here, Heathen Chemistry, released in 2002. Okay, so this one, I actually saw Oasis on this tour as well. They played Dublin, they played the Point Depot. Oasis were very much on the wane at this stage. They were sort of plateaued, they were old hat, and yeah, I think there was other bands coming to the fore at this point in time, you know, bands like the Strokes, the White Stripes. Oasis just really weren't in the mainstream anymore. They were still a very popular band, still had loads of number one hits and stuff like that, but I just don't think they were as good as they were previously. So on this album here we have The Hindu Times to kick off things, which is not a great song, to be honest, repetitive and poor. Force of Nature is not great, Home in a Bad Place is not great. And then we have Stop Crying Your Heart Out, which is probably one of Oasis' best ballad songs, to be honest. I do really like that. Songbird is another Liam song, Some people love it. Again, I think it's rubbish. I don't think it's a good song at all. And then Little by Little is a Noel Gallagher song which he sings, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. A Quick Peep, don't like. Probably All in My Mind, I don't like. She Is Love, Born on a Different Cloud, Better Man. Yeah, I don't think this is a great album. It's got a couple of good songs, and the good songs on this are stronger than maybe the good songs on Standing on the Shoulders. Like, for me, Standing on the Shoulders is really two songs that are good. This album, it's got Stop Crying Your Heart Out and Little by Little, which I think are standout songs in Oasis back catalogue. So for me, this is a good album, and I'm going to put it in the third tier here. I'll try and balance this here. Okay, great. Now, the next one we have is from 2005. Yes, so Don't Believe the Truth. And this one is where all members of the band started contributing to the songwriting. Was that a good thing or not? I don't know. We'll have to see. But I did see Oasis twice on this tour in 2005. I saw them in the summer in Dublin, and then I saw them in the winter in Belfast. And yeah, it was great. Great going to both of those gigs to see them. I do like this album, I have to say. I'm just going to run through the tracks. Turn Up the Sun, I think, is a great track. I think it was co-written by Andy Bell. Then we've got Mucky Fingers, which Noel sings. Don't really like that one. Lila is a good track. I think it has probably been overplayed, to be honest. Not one of their best songs, but a decent track all the same. Then we have Love Like a Bomb, which I never really liked, to be honest. Importance of Being Idle is class. It's class. It doesn't sound like an Oasis song, but I think it is really, really good. And yeah, of course, Noel sings that one. It kind of sounds like a bit of a carnival type of pop song, but I still think it's strong. The Meaning of Soul, Guess God Thinks I'm Able, Part of the Queue, Keep the Dream Alive. Bell Will Ring, that one was written by Gem Archer. And then Let There Be Love, which is the big ballad on that one. It's okay, it's not bad. Yeah, I think this is sitting back in the good category. It's got some good songs on it, but again, I don't think it stands up to some of the other Oasis albums. Okay, so we'll set this one in here if it works. This balancing act is tough. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, that might fall off. Anyway, this is live YouTubing for you. Okay, the next one here, the last Oasis album from 2008, Dig Out Your Soul. I actually only picked this one up recently, and I saw Oasis on tour in 2009, one of their last gigs at Slane Castle, in support of this album. To be honest with you, this album is rubbish. There's only one good song on this album for me, The Shock of the Lightning. Everything else is very derivative. It's reused ideas. There's a lot of Beatles sounding material on here, a lot of Eastern sounding material. All the band members get involved in the songwriting, but I don't think that's a good thing. The Shock of the Lightning is far and away the best track on this album, and I really think it deserves to be on the bottom tier here. So I'm going to stick it in here. So there you go. That is my review of all 8 Oasis studio albums. I hope you enjoyed my video. I would love to hear what your opinion is on my ranking. Would you agree with me? Please let me know in the comments below what your ranking on the Oasis albums are from 1 through to 8. If you liked the video, hit the like button. And if you could also subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. And I will talk to you on the next one. Bye for now.